Welcome to Hamim Loyal. This is Eric Grissom.
And I'm Dan Johnson.
Laura?
Eric and I will be rewatching the iconic Twin Peaks from the pilot through the return and everything in between.
If this is your first time watching, or if you're a longtime fan, you can watch along with us as we dive deep into the strange and wonderful world of Twin Peaks.
We live inside a dream.
Today on Meanwhile, I am very happy to be joined by Alexis Berger, an artist, a lampworker, and a glass jewelry maker of the highest level. Now, is lampworker correct terminology?
Totally correct. I'm very impressed with that intro. Really impressed.
Look at that. Yeah, I did my research.
Nailed it.
That's fantastic. Now, I'm talking to you. You're in California, correct? Is that where you grew up?
Yes, Berkeley, California. I actually grew up in Marin, but now I currently live in the East Bay.
Are you from a family of lampworkers? Is it a long line of Berger lampworkers?
No. But I am from a very artistic family. My dad was an architect. My mom was a seamstress, sewist. She would prefer the term sewist, but most people don't, or not. That's another little term of art. And my grandfather was a photographer, ran a photography studio in San Diego, and on the other side of my family, on my mom's side of the family, they also were architects. So it was actually a family of musicians and architects, people who wanted to, with grand visions of building big. And I'm like, actually, I'm going to go.
Sure. Yeah, but it's all building.
Yeah, it's all building and drawing and thinking in shapes and thinking in three-dimensional, making things. Yeah.
So was architecture, was that on your path at one point that you were going to go that way?
No, I knew it wasn't for me. And my father was very, very clever about helping people figure that out, in fact, because he ran his own architecture firm and would have to hire people. And so he would kind of try to figure out, is this person really got the juice? And one of the questions he would ask is, what's your favorite building?
Okay, I imagine that separates the people that actually want to do architecture from everyone else.
An amazing litmus test, considering that there are the people who went into architecture who don't have one, or even thought about it. He was like, okay, and I realized, although I do have a favorite building because, I knew this was part of it, and we think growing up in that family, but I knew it wasn't like an instinctual thing. I didn't dream in architecture. I didn't get passionate about. I was never passionate about buildings, and also the culture. It just wasn't. It never drew me in. I didn't feel like the magic of that had captured me.
When did you connect with the magic of working with glass?
I went to art school. I went to RISD.
Oh, nice. I went to RISD once for 10 minutes.
Oh.
My daughter wanted to do art school, and one of the schools that we visited was RISD. It's wonderful. I remember going in and they had a whole room of bones or something. There was all these bones everywhere. It was fantastic.
That library is so fantastic, and what a resource. It was. I feel like I had dreamt that place existed. As someone who, you're always, when you're drawing something, you always want reference. You always want to I want this to nail this exact thing. And to imagine being able to go to a library where you can be I need a bird skull, and then be able to, I can draw it perfectly now, that's such an incredible resource.
But yeah, so I'm sorry to cut you off. I got excited when you said RISD, but you went to RISD, so.
Oh, it is very exciting. That room is so seductive if anyone ever gets the chance. And I believe it's open to the public, but maybe that's changed since I've been there.
Oh, it's very cool. It's a very cool city as well. I'm blanking out. What's the name of the city?
Providence.
Providence, thank you.
No problem. I have some stories about Providence.
Good or bad? Did you feel that Providence changed you?
Providence, this is going to sound really snotty coming from someone who didn't actually grow up there or live there for more than 4 years, but just the impression that I got, or stories that I heard from locals who I talked to, was that the city used to be a total dump. But then Buddy Cianci took it over and kind of cleaned it up. And he was a notorious shady character in some
Yeah.
ways. I don't want to tell tales out of school because I don't know all of the details, but I definitely got the impression that he was had some strong tactics, let us say, that cleaned up the city maybe a little forcefully by other people's metrics. And but there was when I was going there, it was like this very thriving, beautiful place with lots of programs and festivals, and like there was a festival called Water Fire, which I don't know if you ever heard of or have seen, but it was incredible. There's the river going through the city, and they would light wood floating bonfires all along the water, and at night all the businesses would stay open late, and there would be music piped in, and people would just like have a glass of wine and like sit and watch, and then like the wood smoke and everything would fill it was just like, it was as if it was so beautiful. And then the floating bonfires themselves had these like they were made out of metal, but they were these hollow spheres sort of arranged in a square with a welded on attached basket they would put the wood in, and there would be like hundreds of them down the river. It was so beautiful.
That's very cool. I feel like we were there after it, because I remember seeing remnants of it, like where you would walk around, and I remember seeing like fire in the water or whatever, like floating things, but I feel like it had just ended. But yeah, so it has like, obviously there's Lovecraft's house that you can go to. So like there's like an energy to Providence.
And then there's Swan Point Cemetery, which is one of the most beautiful old
I
cemeteries.
didn't see that.
I mean, it's very, there's also one of my favorite spaces I think that I've ever been in was the Athenaeum Library, which is like a small Greek inspired sort of Beaux-Arts building with like, several tiers of staircases and books that you could just like wander through, and it was all beautiful marble and everything. I mean, it was just like it was all sort of open to the public. It was a very sort of beautiful city to explore.
Right. Now, so what art did you go there to study? Like, what was your discipline entering?
Good question. I actually studied industrial design, which even from the beginning, I knew I didn't necessarily want to do professionally. I hadn't totally decided whether or not it was going to be for me or not, but I thought, well, regardless of whether or not I decide to actually do this for a living, it will be a great thing for me to study, because the studying it there it teaches you how to use a bunch of materials, and it was all stuff that I would not have access to outside of school. So I learned how to weld. Learned how to use a vacuum former. I learned how to do work a milling machine. Work with wood and wood shop stuff. All this. I would have access to all these materials that I would not be able to just to have access to a wood shop is really valuable. So anyway, I was like, well, this will teach me whether or not I need to build a wood shop in my house, or if I want to go become an industrial designer. There was a lot of pressure. I realized, though, that the actual career of being an industrial designer is a lot of sitting in front of a computer, building stuff in CAD or, some other 3D modeling program, and then having other people essentially tell you what to make. And the career, I could go like work for Bic pens or something and make, little pens over, or like make razors or cell phones, or I just realized like, I don't want to do that. But it was a great major because I learned how to use all these materials, and then I learned how to teach myself new ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't touch glass until after I graduated. I was actually teaching weaving at a camp in Connecticut, which I want to drop the name of, Bucks Rock.
Okay.
Which is an incredible place. Really, really amazing place to send your kid if you want to have them just like flourish. Like a really amazing. I mean, it's kind of can't be overstated. And it was like the best kind of teaching scenario where the kids can do whatever they want. There's like world-class art facilities, and the kids just can do whatever they want. Turns out if you let a kid do whatever they want and there's beautiful, amazing facilities, they will be incredibly creative and make amazing work. Like, so talented.
Was there another teacher that was doing glasswork?
Exactly. There was glass facilities there.
Mhm.
I was interested in glass at RISD too, but the way the departments work, you can't just like drop in and take a glass class. They don't. Or there was like one elective that you could get, but it was very competitive to get into it, and you just if you didn't get
Yeah.
the thing, you didn't get the thing. So I was like, oh, I will teach you. Person who's teaching the lampworking class, whose name I am embarrassed to say I'd forgotten, but I only hung out with her for like a couple hours. I will teach you how to crochet if you teach me how to make a bead. And she's like, God, we'll do that. And I did that in one afternoon. And from that one moment, I was completely hooked. I had never, and it was really a sensation of falling in love.
Yeah.
Like the way that like heart fluttering kind of like obsession kind of feeling where you're like, after that moment, I was dreaming in glass. Like I would think about it all the time, like a complete hyperfixation, like anything I've ever experienced in my life. It was really, really transformative.
Do you think it's
because of that?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, because of that, I like immediately was like, I'm going to buy all of the equipment. I'm going to do this. I don't care if I have to like, I mean, I literally did work outside in the dirt from time to time. I would like make a little like weird goblin nest for myself and like have a torch and a thing and like, I'm going to make glass. Like it was really intense. Anyway, go ahead.
Do you think it's the connection that you're having that seems very deep is connected to like the physical nature of it, like the heat of the flame and the colors and kind of the delicate nature of the glass? Like, does that physical experience, like the heat, the light, all that stuff, is that what you think you connected with?
This is such a good question. It was and I think I'm realizing this in your time. This is how you know you're a great interviewer. Okay. I had never had anything where the result, the product, the object that I was able to create at the other end of it matched my enjoyment and love with the actual process of producing it itself. It was so complete. Like it was like a perfect circle of like, I love the heat, the fire, the materials itself, the process, the melting, the stretching, the ultimate fluid nature of it. This like living, dripping thing that you can then manipulate until it gets to the shape that you want, and then you put it in a little box, a kiln, and then you walk away, and then you come back, and you get to open it, and then it's like Christmas, and you pull it out, and you're like, I made a thing, and it's exactly what, or it's like, oh no, it's crap, I hate it, like, or whatever. But there's, that excitement, like every aspect of it, I found so utterly lovable that it was like, this is for me.
No, that's wonderful. That's like when the form and the content are like meeting together in some wonderful sort of alchemy.
The process of it, produced such an adrenaline rush and such a dopamine hit that I'm like, everything about this, it makes me want to do it forever and ever. And that's literally the case. Yeah,
you've worked with some really neat materials aside from glass, like I saw like soda can and seltzer cans. Yeah, like when you're deciding on a new piece, is it the material that inspires the design, or are you thinking of a design and then in your head figuring out like what materials I need?
So before I worked with glass, there was a lot of pressure to just like figure out how to, and also just like not having money. You just are like, I need to make art. I need materials. What's around me? What do I have a pile of? And then, in my case, I have a LaCroix addiction. I'm like, I have heaps of these cans. Oh, this is sheet material. And then I think in that case, it really was the material that was like suggesting what it could be. So I'm like, all right, I've got tons of this. I can mess up as many times as I want. I can I can screw on with this without any worry that I'm ruining anything. And eventually I'll find something I can make out of it. And that was the case.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So with David Lynch, I know you're a David Lynch fan, obviously a Twin Peaks fan.
Huge David Lynch fan, huge Twin Peaks fan, yeah.
When did he enter your sort of consciousness, as it were?
RISD. I had a kind of perfect David Lynch origin story in some ways, like, very... I would there was one another beautiful bit of Providence. Of course, there was a perfect little VHS video store about 5-minute walk from my apartment. And it would, because they were in a, college art school town, there was like amazing little curated VHS collections that were put together by the like group of goofballs that worked there. And there was a, cult TV section. And I had heard, like if, in the kind of cultural zeitgeist, I knew that there was this thing called Twin Peaks. I'd never really seen David Lynch movies before, except for Dune. I saw Dune when I was like about 9, and I actually loved it, but that's a whole other story. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to just derail the Twin Peaks talk, but I am fascinated. I just talked to an artist the other day who had seen Dune. I can't imagine, if you could just give me this. You're 9 years old. You're watching Heart Plugs for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
That movie is insane. Like, I love that movie, but there's heart plugs.
That movie is utterly unhinged.
Yeah, you're milking a cat. Like, were you with your parents when you watched it? And how did that go?
My dad had... he and I are huge science fiction nerds, as was my grandfather. And my grandfather was a huge Frank Herbert fan. Huge. He's read all the books. My grandfather would read every science fiction pulp novel that would come out because it was his way of escaping his like extremely horrible childhood was science fiction. It's like how he escaped. And I realized like art was how I coped with reality, and like and science fiction, and same with my dad, science fiction was like extremely culturally important to my family. So the idea that we would not watch Dune or even approach it with a critical eye was like not an idea. No, this is the movie, the Frank Herbert movie. We will be watching it and we will love it. The end. So I remember, and also as a 9-year-old, you don't really have a critical eye. Like I didn't know that anything was wrong with this, or that there would be any problems, or that anyone would have any critical thing to say about it at all. It's just, this is what is happening. I just accepted all the imagery as just like, right.
Sure, of course.
Got it. But it was also totally mind-bending and bizarre, and I'm sure imprinted on me in some really upsetting ways.
Yeah. I mean, the heart plug thing I find is the most horrifying thing in the world.
Revolting.
With the Baron Harkonnen, and he's pulling the heart plug out, and you're like, and then that's not in the book either.
Like, I also have a very like intense mirror like neuron thing where if I see some injury or something, I'm like, yeah. Like I remember seeing the Baron's face covered in lesions, and then just like going like holding my face to the side, like, oh my God, like that must feel terrible. But it's like, of course he's, it's all to just sort of like emphasize his like toxic nature.
Sure. Yeah. So, all right. So the video store, they've got Twin Peaks, and you've heard about it.
I've heard about it, and I'm like, and also I love work. My neurodivergent brain loves having something else playing in the background while I'm working. I'm like, oh, a TV show, I'll get into that.
Yeah.
So I grabbed the first three VHS tapes, which I think was 6 episodes. I can't really remember now, but and I think it also included the pilot.
Yeah, there was 2. Yeah, there was 2 sets. So if it was on VHS, it did not have the pilot.
It was on VHS, and I think it had 2 episodes. Oh, so it didn't. Okay, then maybe that was a different.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing the pilot. Also, there might have been a separate VHS tape that they had.
Probably. Yeah. So there was the VHS that was the international ending with the pilot, and then there was the first season set of VHS tapes that was, each tape had 1 episode and with better quality. And then none of this is important, but there was another set of VHS tapes that had first and second season.
What are you talking about, Eric? This is incredibly important. Okay, anyway.
Right. And but yeah, the pilot was always separate. So you must have watched that as well, as because the person I last talked to had only seen the international pilot, did not know there was a show. So they were like, oh, it's weird. All of a sudden it's over.
Yeah, I could tell, because I could see that, oh yeah, this is a complete thing. This exists on its own. The end. Yeah, no, I could see.
Right. Who's this guy in the basement? I guess Bob did it and it was sort of on his way. But
yeah.
So for you, you're jumping in that world.
I had a similar sensation of falling in love. That like deep, hyperfixation, obsession, just like wanting, and then also the heartbreak, the true like weepy, sad heartbreak of realizing no one else was going to be into this with me. I couldn't talk about it with anybody. Nobody else in my class knew what this was, which I thought was really surprising being at an art school. But I remember chatting with people and they're like, hey, you guys seen Twin Peaks? This is this crazy thing. You know, like, because I was at just the right generation when it was on the air.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was born in 1983. Everyone was like 2 years old.
Sure.
Or 1 year old, or had just been born. Like, that was it.
Yep.
So I was at this like nadir of a generation that had no clue what this was. So nobody I talked to had seen it. Like I think I mentioned to a teacher at the time, they're like, oh yeah, I know Twin Peaks. It's a pretty good show. And then like, I was like wanting to talk about it with them, but they weren't really that into it. And I'm like, I need to talk about this with somebody. Because like, and I just, it was affecting me so deeply. This is one of the things that I wanted to say about David Lynch's work, is that there are other pieces of media that I've seen that have done this to me, but just his work puts me in a meditative state. It puts me there. His I think dedication to meditation really pervades his work to the point where he's able to draw people into this state where they are thinking both with their hearts and heads, like simultaneously. You can try to intellectualize what you're seeing, but he's like, no, we're not. That's present. That doesn't check out. But he like takes your heart and brings it forward, so that it becomes an equal player in the conversation of what you're absorbing. So equal, in fact, that logic doesn't. The fact that there are not perfect logic connections, that isn't the point of what you're watching. That isn't
exactly,
the issue.
yeah.
It's these are feelings, and there's just such little media, I want to say, or art that captured my thinking feeling, as he would probably put it.
Absolutely. Because you have to approach it intuitively, because it's not spelled out, but because there are these mysteries everywhere, that your brain just starts making those connections, and it gets wired into your subconscious.
Every little incident feels like this blooming of possibilities of meaning. And I remember being at art school at the time. I was going to class, and we'd bring a project and we'd show it, and we'd get critiqued, and like the teacher would want me to verbalize what it was that I had made. And I remember then later being obsessed with him, finding an interview with David Lynch where they're like, believe it or not, this is my most spiritual film.
Right.
And they're like, elaborate on that. And he's like, no.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Eraserhead is my most spiritual film.
Mm-hmm. Elaborate on that.
No, I won't.
And I remember thinking, oh yeah, that's what I want to be able to say at some point in my life, is to have somebody say, like, tell me more about this, and be like, no.
Yeah.
Because that collapses the waveform. If you say what it is, the mystery is killed, the golden goose is killed. So it's like, I remember thinking, like, there are times when you want to explain something because you want to be understood in a certain way, and it's really important that some particular aspect of your work is where that waveform is collapsed, where there is a piece of logic to hang on to. But then from that one, like, stable point, you can then have these other branches that never get explained, and then people can have their own experience. And if you tell them what it is, that experience is...
No, it's ruined.
Squished.
And unfortunately, we've built a world in which it's very hard to do that. It's very hard to put something out or create something and leave it as a mystery, because everyone has to, reduce it to 2 or 3 lines, and you have to explain it, and you better tell what it is in the first 30 seconds, or like they're going to scroll away, and it's a terrible world.
There's so much pressure. We live in a world of elevator pitches and TikTok reels and things that need to be... Yeah, I know. And it's like, oh, can we just breathe for a second?
And I don't even believe, I still think it's possible to do those wonderful mysteries.
Yes, of course
it's harder, I would say, but it's definitely not something you have to give up on. But yeah, I love that when we asked him about Eraserhead, he just says no. And
yeah, that was a revelation to me at the time.
Why would you take that away? Why would you ruin that mystery?
Well, I think because the desire to know is very healthy, but you have to realize that the answer isn't going to come from him. It's going to come from you.
Right. And the desire to know is the thing that
Correct.
that you love, right? For me anyway, but like that's
right.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. That's your heart coming forward, right? Like you're like, I want to know what this means to me.
Absolutely.
Like this is asking me questions that I can answer for myself.
I feel like there's so much anxiety built up with people about getting things wrong, which then sort of drives this need to know exactly what's going on. And here it is. Like, even sometimes if I have an idea for something, like I'm very surprised by saying Janie E. I think she's a tulpa, and I'm like, this is why. Some people get so mad, and they're like, it doesn't say it here or whatever. And it's like, and you see that like if you go to Reddit or whatever, like there's...
Of course. Yeah, no, but I'm like, y'all, don't worry about it.
Right, of like, you have to know, and you don't want to say the wrong thing and be wrong. It's like, so be wrong. Like, just whatever your experience is.
Be wrong. Also, like, it's there, the idea that you could be right or wrong. Yeah. Like, even if let's say, I would argue this, that even if there is like it is definitively said, or there's something really definitively set up in this that says that Janie E is not a tulpa, or that whatever, that actually still doesn't matter if your experience of it has led you to feel this way about it. It literally doesn't matter. Yeah, that's your experience of it. So It's like, it's like telling people don't like what you like. Sorry, nope, I do. The end.
Right. It's silly. I mean, you should find meaning in things, and then you should back that up with your own evidence, because it's how your brain... Yeah. And if you're just randomly saying something that doesn't connect with me, it just doesn't connect with me. I'm probably not going to agree with you on other ideas, but that's okay. You live your life where, whatever. But curious again to get back to Twin Peaks. Mm-hmm. You obviously love the world. Like, the world connects with you in a deep way. Do you remember, like, was there a scene, or was there a line of dialogue, or was there an image or something that really resonated with you that was like, that's when you knew this was the world for you? Did it happen right away, or was there... For me, like I'd mentioned, I think, on the show, like, I just... That the traffic light changing. Obviously, I loved all of the show. Every line of the show. But for whatever reason, just the fact that they had this show, I'd never seen a show where they let it go from green to red, and the sound of wind and like all of those elements like just drilled a hole into my brain.
I think what's coming up, I mean, who knows? I can't actually put myself back in my head at that age completely that I can remember specifically, but what's coming up right now is the like camcorder coverage of Laura dancing at the picnic, and it's zooming into her eye.
Yes.
And that scene of her sort of slowing down, and then Cheryl Lee's like incredible acting, even in that one scene where she hadn't even been officially cast for the role yet for a long-term thing.
Sure.
Who knows? What I felt when I saw that was the like beautiful, brittle sadness under this like jolly face of her going like, yay, I'm dancing. And then like that zooming in and feeling that pain underneath it. Like, I think I just started crying immediately when I saw that. I was like, oh my, that slow moment in a television show, and just like the faith that they were like, everyone will understand what this is. And it's like, really, that really did it for me.
That's such a powerful moment. And it's cool that you brought that up too, because you can feel like they just cast Cheryl Lee like to get wrapped in plastic. You're just going to be in this thing for 5 minutes. And then they shoot that thing that you're talking about. You can see David Lynch is falling in love with this character. Then they got to do the international ending, and he creates the whole Red Room thing. But it's like, you can see in that moment the stuff that you're feeling is clearly probably stuff that he's feeling. And then in his head, he's like inventing Maddie.
I wonder if that was the moment. I mean, who knows if this is true, but I wonder if in that moment he realized also like, oh, we struck gold with this girl.
I think so.
We've got to put her in more, because this is some of the, like, that image was so powerful, and her ability, like her emotions are so clear on her face that she can do. She can juggle like 5 emotions at once on her face.
Yeah,
Just
it's
perfectly.
He has such a gift, and Joanna Ray, the casting director, of like finding the right people. Like even just seeing the one-armed man, and knowing, oh, like I heard this guy's voice. I gotta do more stuff with him. Or seeing Cheryl Lee and knowing, oh my God, we gotta find something for these people.
And that leads me right into the other reason why after seeing Twin Peaks, or seeing as much till that whole, the How's Annie at the very end, I realized like I have to know everything about this director, and I have to know more about the process of this show being made, and I became a nerd about the behind the scenes, and that was when David Lynch became a sort of an artistic hero of mine. And that was one of the other major reasons why he became a hero, was his unbelievable ability to stop what he's doing and just realize he struck gold. When you have an idea in mind and you're heading towards it full force, the discipline and intuitive genius it takes to stop and just say, wait a second, this we have to scrap everything, do this. Like I strive for that all times. I kind of hold that in my mind to be like, stop, it's good, you have something here.
Does that happen with your work when you're making something? Because the wonderful thing about Lynch is like these mistakes, or something goes wrong, or this thing's not supposed to be out, or who let this work light out? Because you do a lot of like really cool living objects too. Like, you've got leaves, bats, eyeballs. You do fantastic eyeballs and birds. Like there's like this natural world that it's finding its way into your art. When you're working on something, do you ever find like, oh, I screwed something up, but no, I didn't. Now it becomes this other thing.
Constantly. Yes. And then this everyone who's listening to this, who's ever worked with glass, knows glass is you collaborate with that material. You have to let it do what it's going to do. And it has its own agenda, and you have to work with it. You don't master it ever entirely. It's always going to have its opinion about how it wants to go and what it wants to do. Also, like, you screw stuff up all the time. Like I'll grab the wrong color and do some, and like, and sometimes you do that and it ends up looking like a booger, and you're like, okay, and this is going in the garbage. But there's plenty of times where I've done that and realized like some of my best discoveries have come from grabbing the wrong piece, mixing a color together, and realizing it does something incredible. And then having the ability to stop and go, wait, I did something good here, actually, even though this wasn't what I intended. And then, I think about any time that I've managed to do that, I'm like, oh, thank God. Right. I stopped.
Well, you've reached the midpoint, that time when we're here to thank the people that have supported the show and have become residents of the Black Lodge. Curl up with a bowl of garmonbozia, because we're serving up hot corn for Chuck Suffle, Gregory Flanagan, Dawn Adamo, Banjo Track, Eric Knopp, Charlie Tapper, Ivan, Jake Jagello, Matthew Fuller, Raga Raven, David Melito, Daryl Dyson, Dana Gould, Art Hill, Jeff, Henrik E., concluding remarks, Brian Johnson, Evan Fitz, Hazel Haywood, William Schaefer, Jordan Carver, Matt W., Nick Webb, Kalen, Best, Lawrence, He Who Is Clem Fandango, a.k.a. Luke P., Eva, Neil McKenzie, Ben Chisholm, David Titterington, Ethan Berry, May Surkoff, Wordy Ginters, Chris H., Patrick Weiss, Skeksis, Julian Zoller, Matthew Walker, Dustin Weaver, Fifi Ramone, Dave, and of course, Andy Levy. Thank you to each of you. Thank you to all the people at our other levels, to everyone who listens and supports. And get ready. We're going to Inland Empire. So pack a lunch, charge up your batteries for your PD-150. We're going to get weird. Inland Empire is coming. So all of your work is your work, meaning you have this idea for this beautiful piece that then you're going to sell. You're not doing like someone saying, make me X and then you're making X.
Hardly ever. I used to do that.
Yeah, because that must be a different experience.
It's a completely different experience. And I realize, like, if I ever do that, I have to, like, it'll be with somebody who I trust completely. I've had lots of experiences with people who, it is kind of a sad story in a sense that there are people who, you know, most people even have a vision of something that they want or have an idea, and that only is like very amorphously formed. They're like, I want something kind of this, like this. And they are not super familiar with my work even. They're just looking for a craftsman to make something that they've thought of. And then either what they want, will never match their vision because they haven't really thought it through completely. You can't win. So unless I really know that I can achieve exactly what's going to make them happy and that it's something I personally want to make and fits with the rest of my vibe, I guess. I hate that word, but
yeah, that's hard. That's hard with any design work, and it's totally understandable. You have to do it. Like we do web design and development stuff, and it's the same. You know, basically, the client doesn't have the vocabulary to explain what they want, and they actually probably don't know what they want because they can give you, I want it to look like this, and you can do the exact reference photo, and then they realize they don't want it because it's not the right thing. They just didn't know that.
Because they can't, yeah. It like I find working with other artists who have a request for something works a lot better because I know that they've been able to actually build the whole kit and caboodle in their head and can kind of see it. Whereas with like other people who don't necessarily make things, they're like, I want it. They don't actually know. Like this back to heart, head. They're like, I want it. I want to have an object that makes me feel this way. That's actually what they're asking for is a feeling, and they don't. They think that this might work to give them that feeling, but they won't know until it's actually they're holding it in their hand. Anyway, it's a whole situation.
And then it has to rob you of all the stuff we were just talking about, like if you screw something up because you were originally making this, and now all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I can make that, and this is wonderful, and you can't give them that because they asked for, like, you're locked in.
Whereas if I make a whole collection of something and then put it out there, then people can see the image, they get the feeling they want, and then they have the object, and exactly. And then it's like, no, nothing will make you happier than actually having the thing than being able to hold the thing that you saw that you fell in love with, as opposed to a thing that you imagined and can never have.
So you watch all of Twin Peaks, get through episode 29, yes. Fire Walk with Me, I'm assuming.
Of course. And then also I went in and watched everything David Lynch made.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the film. So are we in Mulholland Drive? Like, is this 2000s that this is happening, or is it earlier? Lost Highway?
I graduated from RISD in 2005.
Okay. Inland Empire is about to come out.
Inland Empire about to come out. And I think I watched that I finally connected with some folks who liked his work. And I was actually able to watch that movie with friends in my apartment at the time. And that was a true joy. Yeah.
And that's a stress test for even for Lynch fans. That I love that film.
I put that on as a comfort watch. I love Inland Empire.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
My favorite films vary, but I love that movie. But it scares me. That movie, it hits me like, and I watch tons of horror movies, but that movie hits me with like this deep-seated fear that's very hard to articulate. But it's like a loss of identity. Like,
it's so visceral and unrelenting.
The scene where she's like, this dialogue sounds like it's from our script.
Something's happened. I think my husband knows about you, about us. He'll kill you. And me. Damn! This sounds like dialogue from our script.
Cut it. What's going on? What the bloody hell's going on?
That scares me because I feel like that's going to happen in my real life. Like I feel like I'm going to lose my identity, or, sometimes you have these feelings of being outside of yourself, and like it hits that for me, and it's like, it's scary, but I do love it.
The part that the part that my head goes back to every single time I think about Inland Empire is just her conversation, just Laura Dern's conversation with Grace Zabriskie.
Yeah.
in her like gorgeous house, and she just like is doing like, you know, portentous Eastern European witch
Yes.
woman, you know, like laying out everything that's about to happen to her.
For instance, if today was tomorrow, you wouldn't even remember that you owed on an unpaid bill. Actions do have consequences. And yet, there is the magic. If it was tomorrow, you would be sitting over there.
And it's so uncomfortably close. Like the close-ups on everyone is like almost fish-eyed.
Everyone's face is like in your eyeballs. Like, just like, ah!
It's awesome. Yeah, we're going to do that. I'm looking forward to covering that film. So do you have a favorite film then? Is that your favorite film, or do you, of all of his films?
Oh, my favorite film is The Return.
Okay. Yeah. That counts. 18 hours of it, but yeah.
No question. Yeah. I mean, it's, that is such a, I mean, you guys already talked about this. This is well-trodden territory here, but it's such a culmination of all of his work. The love on screen in that whole thing, just, you know, and that was one of the other reasons why how can you not fall in love with David Lynch? The entire cast and crew, basically everyone with some very few exceptions came back to work with him again after 25 years. Just, what a magic trick. What an utter magic trick that we'll never see anything like that again, I don't think. But just, I don't want to curse the world. Wouldn't that be amazing if we saw more stuff that on that level in the future? I would love that. That would be incredible. I hope we live in a world where that kind of art can get made like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I just talked to Michael Horse recently, and he had said like it was. They were like, we're going to do the show again. And he was like, yeah, I'll do it for free. Like, whatever, give me a small part. Like, the people that work with him and connect with him will basically do anything for him. Like, he has such a good relationship with his actors. And I've heard that from a number of people at this point, too, that they'll do anything for him. And he has such faith, and he'll defend their decisions and what they want to do. When you think about, like, Sherilyn Fenn, like, I don't want to do this part, and then he's making her a brand new part. So
right,
it's a lot of loyalty there.
So, and just I think that's actually one of the things that I connect with the most about it, even though it isn't actually in the script or but it's on screen. Like, knowing, I think that's one of the other ways I get through any like viscerally upsetting piece of like horror in any of his work. Like, if they're, is that, that who's working on this is absolutely in love with what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that comes through even in the most viscerally heart pluggy situation.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, oh no, but these people are in love with what they're doing. This is love. What you're seeing, and it just, that really comes through.
That's a beautiful point. Yeah, I mean, you hear like Stanley Kubrick stories and making people do 500,000 takes and just stress, and what he was doing to Shelley Duvall.
I mean, I have to admit, I love Kubrick's work too, but yeah.
It's a different vibe. Yeah, I've heard Lynch talk about like, you don't have to punish your actors. You don't need to do any of this stuff to get the same result.
Right. And that, I'm like, that you gotta hear like that's such a way to be. That's such a way to live. That's where I'm like, I like Kubrick's work, but he's not my hero. He's not my artistic hero. Like, I don't want to work that way.
Yeah, me neither. I have mixed feelings about some of his work. I mean, he's obviously extremely talented.
He's incredibly talented, and like, art and the artist separation, whatever.
Yeah, I don't return to him the way I do David Lynch. I mean, I think he's just my favorite filmmaker, like, without question, or artist at that point, that I can just kind of like always want to go back to. And I don't think there's anyone else I can think of that meets that criteria. And it's just always been that way. Yeah. But yeah, you feel it, to your point. Like, you feel the love, I think you had said, like, that's on set, that's in the text, but it's like dark and light. It's love and it's violence and it's fear and it's comedy. And it's like all of these things that are the human experience that we all have. And it's just like he creates these wonderful worlds.
Yeah, his ability to mix every aspect of humanity into everything he does, and then also his ability to go big and small also is really just fabulous. Like that, the scene that I was talking about before where they zoom in on Shirley Lee's face in that videotape. Where it's like, by allowing a moment to rest for what feels like maybe an uncomfortably long time on television.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're like pulled into every detail of everything that you're looking at. Like you've been primed to absorb everything, and there's like jolly, goofy, like hijinks between people on screen, and everything's very light and airy. And then by taking that primed mental state where you're like, everything's great, you're fine, everything's fine. And then switching to, now we're going to just look at the sad, incredibly sad girl's face while she smiles at you. Like, you're like, I feel everything.
He's so great at that. Like the way he can move between tones. Like you think about, James and Donna and Maddie singing Just You and I, and you're watching that scene play out. And then it puts you in this mood, whatever that mood is. I defend that song. I know people don't like that song, but I enjoy it. But the next scene is freaking Bob coming in and crawling over the couch. Like that's what follows. That it's like the whiplash, but it works. You're never taken out of it. You're just like masterfully pulled through it.
No, I feel like everything is actually the tonal switches are absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Like you need the switch to feel it.
Absolutely.
The way that he lays everything out. All of the ease and light and airiness leading up to that moment. It's not just jarring for jarring's sake. What that does is it has made you vulnerable to the fact that this is jarring. Like I feel like I'm not making sense here, but it's like
No, I follow you. Yeah.
It's laying these stepping stones so that when you feel that drop, you can't just brush it off. It really sinks in.
No, it's a push. It's a push and pull of all of the human experience of all of these things, and lulling you into this mood. It's like the opening of Fire Walk With Me when you hear the beautiful score of Angelo Badalamenti, and you're the soft blue glow of the TV before it smashes into extreme violence. And it's like, that's all part of it. And it's all this one. And that's a very hard balance to do, especially because a lot of his movies are very funny. I find Fire Walk With Me very funny. It's an incredibly dark and harrowing movie. But to do those two things in the same thing, like a lesser artist would break it or go too far in one direction or go too far in the other direction or be too self-conscious and I think that's a lot of it too, is like overthinking things.
Yeah, of course. That's the thing is his ability to trust his own judgment. I mean, like part of it, I mean, of course, of his genius is the fact that his judgment is correct. Right. It's great. You can work like that if you are right. That helps.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it, is that like, go ahead and trust your judgment if your judgment is good. But it's like, how do you know if your judgment is good?
Absolutely. I mean, it's doing it through your own intuition. Because I don't think he's ever thinking, and I hate to say what I think he's thinking or not thinking, but like, I don't think he's thinking, okay, we're going to do Just You and I, and it's going to be kind of weird, and you're going to be sort of put off, and then Bob's going to come in. He just knows that that's the right thing to do, and he feels right to him, so he does it.
When you hear him talk about coming to these ideas, it's always about falling in love.
Yeah.
Back to love again, back to falling in love. And I know that that's true for me. Anytime I've had actually a good idea, it isn't me going like, I judge that this will be correct. No, I fall in love with something. I feel it. You're like, no, you feel it. And it's like, so then even if it turns out really badly or whatever, you know you did what you needed to do, right? And if people don't like it, you love it.
Yeah, doesn't matter. But the thing is, like, it probably didn't turn out bad. It's just that maybe the right person hasn't seen it and connected with it, and maybe it'll take 20 years for someone to see it. But that's the thing. I think once you highly intellectualize it and start overthinking it, that's when it always rings false for me. And that's when you have people being weird just to be weird because they're overthinking the thing, or they
haven't fallen in love with it. They're doing it's all on the surface. It doesn't come from a place of, I can only assume that. I don't actually know what's on other people's hearts, and people make media that I, like or don't like based on whatever. But I know anytime, let me put it this way, I'll talk from experience. I know anytime I've ever sort of done a kind of kooky, like thing that I'm like, well, maybe I'll, to make it that or whatever. Like if I'm working up from on the surface and not actually from a place where I've really fallen in love with what I've done, by the end of it, you feel like it's like, if this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And what's worse, honestly, is if then people then don't like it. That's one negative thing. But then what if they do like it? What if they do like it and then you're stuck making this poo-poo stinky thing over and over again because everybody likes this thing that you don't like?
Yeah,
Ugh,
that's a nightmare.
A tragedy. So like never make anything you don't love. My God, they'll just give you a bigger shovel.
If you're searching like, oh, what materials are trending or what type of, everyone's into this and I got to make that, like it's not going to work out.
Like, people need to pay the bills. I get it. Like, if you're doing something and it's making money and you have to in order to survive, I would never judge anybody for that. We live in a tough world. But the minute you get enough bandwidth or space or, whatever to be able to actually make what you like, double down on that. Because eventually the right people will find it.
Yeah,
of course.
Absolutely. So I just want to ask one more question, and then I want to find out from you where people can find your work. We kind of already covered this, but I was going to ask you if there's anything about Lynch and his approach to filmmaking that you applied to your own work. You talked about it a little bit, but is there anything else that we didn't cover?
I want to talk about the checking stick.
So this stick is focusing on what you want to focus on. In this case, this painting I'm working on. And the focusing goes through the ball, through the metal, through the wood, through the string, and it needs to come to this metal on the back of the tab, the magnifier. And then you set the tab on your heart, and you get a feeling. You get a feeling for what you're focusing on. Then you set the tab on your brain and you get a thinking of what is going on with what you're focusing upon. And you put those two things together and it can help you indicate the next move. But you don't really need a checking stick because every human being has what they call intuition, a thinking feeling. But this just helps focus that intuition and gives you perhaps more of an indication of the next step in the work. In this case, I'm getting a feeling close but no cigar, and a thinking that I may have to destroy before I can get this thing to where I want it to be. So this incredible checking stick can help us figure out the next moves.
This little piece of business just makes me so ding dang happy, and it directly applies to what you've asked me about. So, he's got this wooden rod with metal. He talks about all these different materials that go into this rod and a sphere on the end of it.
Very particular about each piece and section of the thing.
That's part of it. He has made this incredible psychic device, right? In the sense that it uses his psyche. And he aims it at a piece of art that he's working on. And he goes into great detail about all the materials and everything, and how he leads up to this little metal tab that he puts on his heart and then on his head. And then at the end, after all this rigmarole, I mean, we're talking serious rigmarole. At the end of it, he says, well, you don't even really need the checking stick. He didn't, and of course, and it's all in service of him sort of doing exactly what I was talking about. He lulls you into this sort of hypnotic state where he's like hypnotizing you with talking about all these materials in this device. And then really what it's all about, of course, is listening to the marriage between your heart and your mind, and the beauty of where those two meet. And I mean, I feel like you could also talk about the subconscious and the conscious, right? It's when those two things are working together, then you know you're on the right track. And that is how you make art decisions. And the only way to get your head to shut up sometimes is to, trick yourself a little bit with maybe a checking stick. Like some kind of device, something to distract you.
Yeah. Have you made one and used one? No.
I have not made a checking stick, but I have a spiritual inner checking stick at this point where you're like, quit thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Quit thinking about it. Just feel it. How you feel about this? No, but for real. Trying to put the sensation into words is so difficult because the subconscious does not want to talk. It does not have language. It wants to feel.
No, and that's where the best art lies. We're trying to talk about something we don't know how to talk about, which is why we make art.
Yeah.
And then we create this thing because if we were able to just say it, it would be what it is. You'd be saying what you're talking about. And I think bad art is saying what it's talking about.
Yeah.
But when you don't have the words for it, you create something and then I see it. And then subconsciously in my soul, it like forms back into that thing that you felt. And you've taken that thing that you couldn't talk about and put it into me. And I can't talk about why, I feel that way about it. It's this back and forth without words through art that is just beautiful.
Yeah. And it's one of the purest ways of communicating with somebody is making a piece of art and then having them see it and then it communicates the non-communicable.
No, I mean, metaphor is the greatest thing I think humans have made. And you see that just getting eroded away in all sorts of things because what if someone's on their phone when they're looking at it? So we have to explain everything, like explanation for me. That's why it is Judy, because it destroys metaphor when we just say what we're talking about. But anyway, your work is beautiful.
Thank you so much.
If somebody out here listens to this, they're like, of course it's beautiful. I want a piece of that. Where do they go? Is your Instagram the best place or a website or your Etsy store?
You can, I have a website. It's alexisberger.com. You can also go, and if you just search for my name, Alexis Berger Glass, that'll probably get you there. I have an Etsy store and I've got, but you can find me also on Instagram, follow me there, and it's got all the links and everything.
I'll put links to all of that stuff in the show notes. Alexis, thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric. This has been such a joy. I love talking about art. I love talking about David Lynch, and I just am so flattered and honored to be part of this incredible work that you're doing. This is a beautiful podcast, and I am a fan. I love this. Love listening to this while I work.
Was that? You know what? I should ask that.
Yeah.
Thank you, by the way, for all the nice things you just said about the show. Do you listen to a lot of music, or do you prefer podcasts, or is it both?
I'm all over the place. I'm all over. I listen to whatever's given me dopamine that day, and your show is one of those things. Definitely in the rotation. I also listen to music. I will also listen to a lot of audiobooks. I love listening to the Final Dossier and like that. There's lots of great books out there, but yeah.
Are you repeat listening as well? Like, do you like to listen to whether it's putting on a show or putting on music, stuff that you already know? Because then it almost becomes a background music essentially, because you don't have to put all of your thought into it, but it's there.
I love repeating stuff. I'll put on Catching the Big Fish, for instance. I'll put that on the audiobook of that, which he reads, incredible. to listen to his voice. So I'll put that on, especially if I'm working on something that requires more of my brain, or like if I'm really in the zone about something, because it will make this, shut up, I'm pointing at my forehead. It will take my conscious verbal brain and put it over here in a nice comforting like dog crate where it can like sit and and chew on a chew toy, and then the rest of me can be like, okay, fine, we got her to be quiet for a minute. Now we can actually get to work.
Oh, that's wonderful. Unrelated, but I got. Did you ever read The Air Is on Fire?
No. All right, that's why I pulled out. I have a little notebook right here. I knew you were gonna. The Air.
Yeah, like I don't know if you can find it. It was a David Lynch art book that they made when he did his Paris show.
Oh, you posted about
it. I don't know if you can find it.
Yes, you
did. But
did.
you mentioned David Lynch's voice. It is the greatest experience, and you can find it on YouTube. I actually listened to it on YouTube before I had the book, and I didn't know what it was. But basically, if you have the book, they go through every piece of his artwork, and he talks about it. I mean, he's never going to tell you what it means or whatever, but talk about how he made it, or like there's like page after page of him drawing on napkins from Bob's Big Boy, and he's talking about it. And yeah, I did post a section of it. I can send you the YouTube link so you can listen to it.
Oh, please do. I would absolutely love that.
It's like the greatest thing. Like to just have this book. You basically have an art book, which is already great. Then you put this thing on and they're talking about it and they're like, now turn to page like 64. And now you're on 64. It's awesome.
I want this book.
I don't know if it's hard to find or not, or maybe people have put like a PDF of it. But even if you just listen to him talk, it's like an hour and a half of him talking about art. Oh,
that's like gold.
Oh, it's wonderful. And I figured you could put that on in the background. But, I wanted to say, I think this was your idea, right? I think you contacted me first, so I want to make sure that's in the show.
I did. I followed my dear friend Clint Marsh. My friend Clint Marsh is he writes a magazine called Fiddler's Green, and one of his genius things is write the fan letter. Are you enjoying some other person's work of art? You like what they're doing? Write them a fan letter and see if you can participate in what they're doing. And I was like, I'm gonna write Eric a fan letter. Can I be part of your show? It's really cool. I like it a lot.
No, I'm glad you did. Yeah, because it sparked this whole idea of like talking to people like you and talking to other people and just seeing like where your love of Lynch and art. Because I think you have to. I want to support more artists. I try to do that as much on the show because it's getting harder.
The reason why one of the other reasons why I wrote in was because I wanted to hear you interview other artists. I wanted there to be a whole series. Like, yeah. I mean, turns out you did exactly what I was hoping you would do, which is to talk about the artistic world that David Lynch created and how other people, like so many people, are touched by his work and then have been inspired to go on and make things based, whether or not it's based on it, just as an artistic font of inspiration and his ethos and his heroism.
Yeah, it's really crazy the amount of people that he affected. Like it's like that Brian Eno quote about Velvet Underground, like everybody that bought the album started a band or whatever.
Started a band, yeah, exactly. It's totally like that.
Yeah, it's really impressive. Like all of like everything that's good that happened in television, anybody that made any of those shows, they're all fans of Twin Peaks. Like it's really, really crazy.
Incredible. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think I've said everything I needed to say. Grissom, you're a total hero. Thanks for doing this
thank
show.
you. And as are you. Bunch of heroes hanging out. Thank you for listening to the Meanwhile podcast with Dan Johnson and Eric Grissom. If you would like to support the Meanwhile podcast, join our Patreon. It's available right now. You can sign up, and for just a few dollars a month, you can keep this show going, and you can get access to some exclusive podcasts and some secret stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. So if you'd like to join, go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile and look for the Patreon link. If you like our show, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're hearing this now. Meanwhile is produced by Eric Grissom and Where's My Robots? The Meanwhile theme song is written and performed by Paul Finn and Evening Pines. If you want to let us know what you thought of the show, you can reach Dan at danjnj.com, both on the web and on Blue Sky. Eric can be found on Blue Sky at ericgrissom.com, which is also his website. It's also me, right? That's weird. We'll see you again, and in the meantime, be good.
Listen to the sounds.
Meanwhile,
Where's my robot? You know?